The twin flame journey is often misunderstood, filled with contradictions, myths, and an overwhelming amount of information that can make it feel as though you're stumbling through the dark. With so much conflicting advice available, it's easy to lose sight of the bigger picture and feel like you're lost in an unending cycle. That is why structure matters. The Ascension Pathway offers a carefully crafted framework to guide you through each stage of your journey, from confusion and emotional chaos to clarity, alignment, and spiritual empowerment. This 7 phase journey through the 4D is not a one size fits all solution, but it is a roadmap designed to help you integrate spiritual growth with practical, real world healing. Let's talk about the early separation energies, where we are meant to first just understand the journey for what it is. The early stages of separation often leave you feeling overwhelmed, lost, and unsure of where you stand in your journey. You might wonder, where's my person? What is this journey all about? And these questions are very, very common. It's in these phases that the foundation for everything else is built. So it kind of makes sense. I like to think of finding the collective as phase zero, because in this initial stage, you start to gain clarity and reassurance from a community of like minded individuals. And hopefully, you did find that when you got started. I think the collective energy provides a grounding force as you realize you're not alone in this experience. I think it's here that you begin to understand the emotional roller coaster of separation and how to process from a grounded place. I think the real first phase is designed to give you energetic insight. And hopefully, as you started your journey or as you're beginning now, you found the right readings, because endless readings isn't going to help anyone. I don't think tarot was ever meant to be used the way we use it now. But finding the right readings that can actually provide the information or unlock some of the pieces of the puzzle, it can really change everything, and it can get you out of this phase, out of this stage, and moving freely through the ascension journey. I think understanding the dynamic, that is a process. And this is kind of where that happens. And when you receive the right readings, you get spiritual guidance that help to ease the confusion surrounding your journey, and it offers a much clearer perspective on where you are. And then there's phase two. And here is where the information we receive when we start to integrate what we've learned into the physical, which is often overlooked, this is where everything changes. So, yeah, I think that the focus shifts to helping us integrate what we've learned in phase one, and we start to heal energetically from within. We clear blockages and we gain the tools that are necessary for healing the inner parts of ourselves that are preventing union. And so you'll see that as each phase or stage progresses, you're picking things up that if I handed something from phase seven to you in phase one, you would look at it and say, what am I supposed to do with this? And frankly, you probably don't need it until phase seven. So it would be something weighing you down on your journey. There is a way Divine has set this up for clarity instead of confusion. And I think that if we can really integrate and see the truth of where there is stuff inside us that's blocking things out, then this phase can bring real life action. It can make it easier for us to align with our spiritual awakening, with especially the practical aspects of life, whether that's setting healthy boundaries, finding inner peace, working through even the lower vibrations and the patterns that are impeding reunion. If we convince ourselves that we've done all the work, mainly because people are making us feel guilty and saying, you didn't do any work, or if we convince ourselves that there's nothing at all we could be doing that's preventing union, if that's not true, our soul's going to keep trying to tell us. So, going through this and examining the self can actually provide reassurance and confidence. It starts to help us release the imposter syndrome we have about being a divine feminine when sometimes we don't feel so divine. This is where we can start moving into the real road to reunion, where we really understand what direction we need to go, and that even if it's not necessarily going to be the most difficult or the most easy, that we can expect an ebb and a flow. And there's something that just knowing that can keep us centered, can keep us grounded as we progress forward. And once we reach the late separation energies, we start to move from seeking love to seeking truth. And sometimes that's just because of how long we've been on the journey, but other times it's because we've dug deep and we're not getting what we know we're supposed to be finding. I think many divine feminines reach a point where the journey feels stagnant, like they're in spiritual limbo. And this is natural. It often marks a pivotal point in our growth. So as we go into like phases 4 and 5, kind of in this middle place, this is where confusion really gives way to clarity. It's because we are meant to transmute emotional inertia into spiritual momentum. I think in phase 4, this is where we really dive deep into understanding the energetic archetypes that shape our spiritual journey. Many divine feminines who have had maybe some confusion about third party situations, or maybe a misunderstanding of how broad or widespread the twin flame energy is. What often happens is around this time, divine feminines first start to hear there are more divine feminines out there than you think. And some divine masculines are actually with other divine feminines, not their divine feminine, not their twin, but other divine feminines who can tolerate this version of them in ways that you can't. And those DMs are helping them grow. They're helping each other ascend until it's time to come together. We start to release these feelings that there's all this evil around us, and that maybe there's more going on than we understand. That maybe not everything is because someone's done something wrong, or. And I think that when we start to explore the 4 twin flame archetypes, it really can help us clarify the role that we're meant to play, both in our personal growth and in our twin flame journey. I think phase 4 is really designed to help us see where we've been stuck, because it brings a new understanding, and we've got some more tools that are going to help us navigate the spiritual path more effectively. And I think here the tool is perspective. Now, phase 5, I think that this is the hill or the mountain, that you have to climb over. You have to be willing to ascend it. It's not the only peak you'll climb, but it is one that to get into the reunion energy, to the next stage of this whole dynamic, to get out of separation energy in general. Because remember, right now we're still in late separation energy. We have to understand the more advanced teachings, the signs, the syncs. There's a lot more to our journey than just us, our person, and even our understanding of why we're here. If there's some sort of mission or purpose, there's even more to it. Like, we're not the only ones doing this job. And I think it's here in phase 5 that the clarity that we've gained is really integrated into understanding our higher purpose. We begin to see our journey through a larger, more expansive lens, and we understand how our personal evolution fits into the collective healing of humanity. We start to understand those that we might see as maybe muggles, right? Or unawakened. We start to understand that we're not just working on ourself, but aligning with a broader vision of our soul's mission. And when we come down from that mountain, we start to finally step into our sacred mission by entering the vibration of reunion or reunion energy. And I have shared for many, many years that I've been living inside of this. I called it the realm of synchronicity. I didn't quite understand where I was. I did not understand that I had been existing in the 4D. The last 7 years, I had been existing in the 4D more than I was in the 3D. And it was an interesting thing to learn, to realize that I had been outside of time space in a way. And this is how all these downloads came through, and this integration and guiding people from here to there was possible. And I think that you must be able to look around and ask yourself, is there a chance that I've been in reunion energy, but I misunderstood that it was not necessarily going to mean reunion, but that there is a vibration that I will be in the future when I'm in reunion that I can access now without my person. The final stages of the ascension pathway are about stepping into your power and your purpose. And it's first through the understanding of your gifts. Like, how do all these different gifts and things that we have been given by divine really relate to the twin flame dynamic? And then how do we take action? How do we use these gifts? I think this is where the process of becoming really fully integrated, like all the way, begins. So in phase 6, this is where we have to kind of figure out what is our relationship with light work. And light work, for those of you who are like, that sounds like such a fancy term. What are you saying? What does it mean? It is essentially the spiritual purpose, the reason for your design or for your evolution. You have something that only you can do. We all have something that only we could accomplish. And in choosing to live that out fully with intention, okay, living it out in a way that makes the world better, that transforms, transmutes, or transmogrifies, we can then be given even greater power in our gifting. But it's like realizing that you know how to make a magic wand work, but never going to Hogwarts or whatever school, never going to magic school. Yeah, you might be able to put on a show on the corner, but can you save the world by being in the right place at the right time? Probably not, because they know way more about their wand than you know about yours. This is the stage where you begin to understand your divine gifts, what you're here to give to the world. It's about coming into your light worker potential and using that power to serve both your soul's purpose and the collective mission. And here you finally connect the dots between your personal healing journey and the spiritual mission that you're meant to fulfill. And I believe that the last phase is phase 7. This is entering the creator energy. It's the final phase of the ascension pathway. It's meant to activate your vision, your purpose, your sovereignty by beginning to create not only for yourself, but for others, And you plant the seeds for your sacred legacy. You're building a foundation, a divine harvest in the future. And this phase is really all about manifestation and co creation. And so many divine feminines want to get on the job training practice in co creation with their divine masculine, but they do not realize that they should be worried about being able and up to snuff in co creating with divine before they worry about DM. And that says you need to be getting all the practice you can get all the time. You need to be using everything you've learned throughout the journey to serve others and fulfill your soul's mission. And I know that this is not a popular message amongst people who just want to save the world one time and be known forever for it. And that is often what we are trained to think like in Western society or in individualist cultures. But if you're complaining that everything around you is falling apart and what's going on and when is someone going to do something, you were the person designed to fix the things that you feel the most about. Phase 7 asks you, are you willing to leave this mountain? Are you willing to leave the 4D and go back into the 3D to use all that you've known? If you're willing, I believe a gift will be activated in you, and that is the gift of spiritual flight. I believe that there are 7 phases inside of the 4D container that we enter when we surrender fully and say, Divine, show me the way to my deepest desire. But there is an 8th phase, and I don't really look at it like 8. I more turn the 8 on its side and I see it as infinity. That is where we fly. And I believe that we have to get into reunion energy, know what it feels like, so we're familiar with it. And then we're supposed to shoo, rise. I believe that this is the structure that every divine feminine who wants to get into reunion, but also wants to feel deeply fulfilled. This is the path. This is the structure. And I have seen it work time and time again. I've even seen people put together phase 1 and phase 7, phase 2 and phase 4. And I've seen people try to say, here's what I'm willing to do, but I'm not doing it in order and I'm not doing everything else. And I've watched them end up going in circles. I've also watched people say, that's it. That's how I do it. Okay, that's all I needed to know. And they were serious and they go. And I believe that there are more divine feminines out there who have that desire than we like to give credit for as readers and teachers and guides and gurus. I believe that if we offer the structure and we make it more clear, obvious, bring more people to awareness of it, more people would go off and do their thing. And those who needed help being guided through it, it would be easier to help them because we would know here's where they are. But as a divine feminine, your job is to find out for yourself, is there any truth, any validity to this structure, this pathway? Is there any truth when I'm listening to the things that I'm supposed to be doing in the most clear and obvious flow of energy from separation to reunion? Is there any part of me that knows this is right, but maybe other parts of me that are terrified to try it or too afraid of failing? Not that it wouldn't work at all, but that it might work, but oh no, what if I mess it up? There's all these different things inside of us that in the spiritual community, we're not allowed to talk about that because don't manifest bad things just by mentioning it. No, no. Oh, I don't believe in that. I believe that manifestation takes sustained effort. And I believe that denying truth, knowing that you have a thought floating around in your mind once a week that's been there for 10 years, you can deny the truth all you want, but your brain is sending out signals to the universe that says, I'm pretty sure that's right. I'm just too afraid to try. If you think about the way this flows, each phase builds upon the last. It ensures that you're progressing at a pace that actually allows for real integration. And when I was watching readings and that's it and doing nothing else, that was not happening. I wasn't integrating anything. I was just more confused. I think that the spiritual growth that occurs during the twin flame journey, it's not just about awakening to new truths, it's about actively integrating those truths into your life. Without structure, this process can feel chaotic to anyone. It can feel overwhelming to anyone. It can feel like you're constantly stuck in a cycle of confusion. And if you start to believe that that's what this journey is, you're going to hate the journey. If you start to believe that your divine masculine is the reason for it, you're going to hate them. If you start to believe, why would divine, create something so awful, you're going to hate divine. This structure gives you a solid foundation to build upon. It ensures that your journey isn't just a series of spiritual highs and lows, but a continuous unfolding of clarity, of healing, of purpose. I think recognizing the need for such tools, tools that can help us make real practical changes in the physical, like to ground the 5D into the 3D. I think if we can acknowledge that without it, the spiritual bypassing that is just, it's so tempting. It's so tempting to fall into it. It can keep us stuck. It can keep us far away from union. It can keep us away from union within ourself and union with our person. And we'll think it's someone else's problem. No. I'm tired for you if you feel that way. I have watched so many divine feminines leave that exhaustion and decide to take those structured steps forward, and it changes everything for them. And that's because the ascension pathway is it's a guide. And it's not just for navigating the twin flame journey, it's for integrating your spiritual wisdom into every aspect of your life. It's designed to support you in your mission of healing, of union, and service. Even if you're not certain about that mission yet, it can actually give you a clear roadmap for both personal and collective transformation. I believe that all divine feminine twin flames must honor this structure, must understand what it means to exist in the 4D more than you exist in the 3D until you have mastered union energy. And when you do, you're honoring your deepest, most sacred self. And the journey to union becomes one of profound empowerment and divine alignment.